I know I'm not going to do my intro on this video, so don't mind that. I just have a subject matter for all of you that know true Indigenous American history, except for Brandon Tatum, or on YouTube known as Officer Tatum. Okay, he did a video yesterday that, talking about Don Lemon. I could give a shit about Don Lemon, okay? I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. Neither side. I'm independent. Except for our people of the Native Nations, which are segregated to this day and do not have the same rights as everyone else. But, Officer Tatum went off saying that we Indigenous people deserved what we got, and claiming that our people were the ones scalping people. First of all, bullshit. Anyway, it was the other way around, you retard. Oh, I studied Native American culture. Well, what you were taught... Oh my gosh. I'm just going to say this. The shit you said yesterday on our sacred times of wanting healing and the return of our missing and murdered Indigenous women, you're an asshole. You are a fucking out of line, goddamn retarded motherfucking asshole. And I'm just gonna say it like that. First of all, you don't know shit. Oh, I studied. Well, then did you know that there was an archaeological dig in the West Coast proving our culture has been here way before Jesus was ever born? Oh, but wait, Officer Tatum is supposed to be such a Christian. But you might question that right there, right? That was, given to me from a friend's parents that passed away, and so was this vintage sewing machine. My white friends. I also have black friends. I have Mexican friends, friends from different areas of the world. Because they're not assholes. They don't spread lies about American people that are indigenous to Turtle Island, in which you couldn't even say that, because if you really studied us, you would know that before America was called America, it was called Turtle Island. Oh, and not all of us get to wear a medicine bag, by the way. No, not really. I keep my regalia on my dress form underneath that garment so that dust does not collect on it. But it's a traditional regalia piece. May not be made out of buck hide because we could barely get that anymore. And a lot of the shit you said, Brandon Tatum, oh my gosh, you say that you're not racist? Really? After the shit you motherfucking said, you are one of the biggest racists the fuck out there to be talking shit about Indigenous people. I could have said something on David's live stream last night when you were in there as his guest. But you know what? I respected David Harris by not disrespecting his live stream with having a racist against Indigenous American culture and reservations. There's only 304 Indigenous American reservations, right? There's a little over 500 tribes, and I have some other history in a moment. But if you think about it, 304 Indigenous American reservations, and you have over 500 tribes. What does that mean? Tribes have to share the reservation, unless you're in Jersey. There is no reservation in Jersey. Wow. But you would know that if you knew the truth. Our people have been forced off our land. When your so-called pilgrims got here, they incited germ warfare after Thanksgiving, in which, by the way, every year now, people eat a sacred bird of ours, which is a turkey. Nobody had pumpkin pie at the first Thanksgiving, in which the colonists had no respect for the fact that indigenous American people showed them how to survive off of our land and then murdered for it. Murdered over 2,000 tribal members, men, women, and babies. They murdered babies. What kind of shit is that for you to call us out when the savages are the people that murdered our people and put our people in concentration camps, in which you now call reservations? Those are concentration camps. We don't have the same job force that everybody else has. We don't get the same education that everybody else has. In fact, our people have to ask the United States government if it's okay to join a branch of the military. Why? Because more indigenous American people are in the military serving than any other nationality in America. But you would know that if you actually study. Stop watching those Hollywood bit shit movies. That is not true history. Not true history, man. But maybe you didn't know that because you were just going off what the movies told you. Our culture never fucking murdered people for their hair, asshole. It's the other way the fuck around. And I don't have my backles in today. But I do have my medicine bag. I keep my indigenous earring. And I'm in the process of not just finishing a backpack for a Mexican friend of mine, but making my leather moccasins. Not buckhide. I'm making leather moccasins. And then in which I will be doing the beadwork on paracord and attaching it to the moccasin. But you would know all about beadwork being something that was not here indigenous to our culture, but came from the European culture to get beadwork like that. Hand done beadwork to make my medicine bag. And if you can see, my medicine bag is old because it's missing some strands. Have I redone the neck? Absolutely. Buckhide and deerhide tend to get dry and break. But for you to go out of your way to talk shit about indigenous people shows how motherfucking shallow you are. You are a shallow piece of shit. I used to follow you like daily. Now I just think you're an asshole. And I also think that you owe the indigenous American community a fucking apology, asshole. You're an asshole. I could care less you are married to a white chick. I really don't care. Because if you really knew our history, you would also know on these reservations, there's no jobs. Barely. Nobody hires our people because, you know what? The government is ashamed to tell people true history about our people. Our people helped runaway African slaves, integrated them into our tribes. That's why people like myself, that happen to be Native American and Black, have that in our bloodline. And Oh, but, y'all weren't here first. And neither were you. Neither were you. But you don't want to admit that. Do you? Do you? We have archaeological proof, and I happen to be part of that bloodline, that proves our people were in America before anybody else. Mexicans are part of the tribes. The Aztec, the Incan, and the what? Aztec, Incan, and the Mayans. And there are several other tribes unlisted in Mexico that are considered to be tribal brothers and sisters. Oh, you would know that if you actually had that education. When speaking of education, there may be an Indigenous American College Fund, but let me clue you in on something, because you're not smart enough to know this, and you would know this if you really got the education. Our scholarships mostly go overseas to places like Libya. Yeah. Oh, popcorn. I hope you enjoy popcorn and lacrosse and pumpkins, because that's all indigenous. And we didn't have sharp blades as instruments to help us, like hatchets and stuff. Want to know what ours were? The jawbone of an elk. That's right. And sometimes using the bear's claws. See, these things are very traditional, but maybe you would also know this if you ever visited a powwow. Go visit a reservation. You want to know how fucked up a reservation is? No running water, no electricity. You have to use a generator if you can afford it. There's no internet available. Nope, not to the homes. Or what? There's no plumbing available for most tribes. Oh, but hey, you supposedly knew this. But it's a bunch of fucking rhetoric and lies. Lies. Don't fucking lie about us. Because your karma's coming. You want to claim, oh, you're so Christian and everything. Karma comes back on bitches like you. It really does. Karma comes back on bitches like you. Oh, I used to be a cop and I'm black. Black people can't be racist. Black people can the fuck be racist. And there's a lot of it out there. There's white people that don't like indigenous people, but they like black people. And there's black people that like white people, but not indigenous Americans. But then you get confused when it comes down to Mexicans, which are part of the tribes, and I have Mexican friends, and they perfectly understand that they are part of the tribe. Puerto Ricans, let's break that one down, right? Puerto Ricans, Taino, from Florida, that escaped the Spaniards and ran off to Puerto Rico. Oh, and that's not all. Cuba. Dominican Republic. These are all Taino descendants. And they helped what? Slaves. Buffalo soldiers were helped by indigenous people. So keep that in mind and stop being an asshole.